Hello, my lovelies. It is time for another round of TBR Topple. So stay tuned. If you're new here, hi, hello, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. TBR Topple is not necessarily a game, but just more of a challenge to help me read my shelves and organize them. So if you look over here, you'll see my shelf over here is nice and neat. That's what I want all of my shelves to look like, and as you can see, they do not. So each round of TBR Topple, I go through, I straighten up the shelf, and any books that don't fit on that shelf, I need to attempt to read during this vlog, or they're gonna have to topple over to the next shelf. And the next shelf has so many extra books too. So this is the shelf we are tackling today. I feel like, I don't know, like this stack doesn't go too high over here, so maybe everything can fit. If it does, then we'll move on to the next shelf. But let's see. Okay, I dragged my shelf, my ladder over here so I can reach all of this because I'm short. Okay, so it didn't turn out too bad. There ended up only needing to be 2 books that don't fit. So we have One of the Girls by Lucy Clark and What Walks These Halls by Amy Clarkin. So essentially, I need an audiobook today because I have a few errands that I need to run like now. So I'm going to look and see if I can get either one of these as an audiobook. Okay, so I looked on Libby and on Hoopla, and neither of these books are on there. But as I was getting ready to use one of my Audible credits, I remembered I have Spotify Premium, which I forget about all the time. And I looked, and one of them is on there. So One of the Girls by Lucy Clark is on here. It's also funny that they're both like mystery or thriller horror type books. So this one says, we were dying for a holiday, but which one of us would kill for it? The 6 of us arrived on that beautiful Greek island, dreaming of sun-drenched beaches and blood-orange sunsets, ready to lose ourselves in the wild freedom of a weekend away with friends. On the first night, we swam under a blanket of stars. On the second night, the games began on our cliff-top terrace. On the third night, the ideal cracked, secrets and lies whispering on the breeze. And by the final night, there was a body on the rocks below. Gripping, twisty, and full of scorching suspense, this thriller examines the pressures and joys of female friendship and the deadly consequences when a relationship goes wrong. So I'm very curious. Also, there's a blurb by Pop Sugar. It says, filled with mystery, will keep you guessing. So I'm also doing, of course, Camp Season-a-thon. So fortunately, both of these books will be able to work for Season-a-thon. So this one I can use for basket weaving, which is to read a mystery. So I'm going to get started listening to this and go run my errands. So let's see, what do I have to do today? I need to go to CVS and pick up some prescriptions, and I need to go to Target because today is Joyride Day. And if you don't know, Joyride is a candy, and Ryan Trahan, he's another YouTuber, it's his brand, and they're actually trying to beat a Guinness World Record today. So I want to go and try to participate in that, which you have to, like, at a certain time, it's like they need so many posts within an hour at a certain time of day for this world record. So I'm going to try and participate. Anyway, I'm going to do that. Oh, also, the thing with this candy is it's like natural ingredients, not a bunch of added sugar and colors and things like that. It's supposed to be better for you. So I'm going to, of course, get some as well. And then I need to go to Barnes & Noble because I pre-ordered a book and forgot that I had pre-ordered this book. and it was one of the books available in Book of the Month, and I got it from Book of the Month. So I'm going to take the Barnes & Noble one back and get my money back on that one, and listen to my audiobook as we go around or as I go around and do all these things. Okay, so I haven't left yet, but I just finished chapter 7 of this, and I can pretty much already tell you this is not a book that I'm going to get super into. There's so many perspectives. Let's see. So chapter 1 is Lexi, and Lexi is the bride-to-be. They're going on this hen party. So chapter 2 is Robin. Chapter 3 is Finn. Chapter 4 is Bella. Chapter 5 is Robin. Chapter 6 is Anna. Chapter 7 is Eleanor. And there's just too many perspectives in here. And I already know, like, so I've gotten this far in. I already know this is not going to be a book that I rate super high. The highest it would end up getting is maybe a 3.5. And so I'm not going to continue spending my time reading this. I'm going to go ahead and DNF it and get rid of it. So I'm going to see if I can find what walks these halls somewhere else, as far trying to find an audiobook for it. And I'll be right back. Okay, so I actually can't find the audiobook for What Walks These Halls anywhere, not even on Audible. So what I'm going to do, because I do need to have an audiobook so I can listen while I'm going and doing this, and this is something that I'm going to have to physically read, I'm going to go ahead and move it to this shelf, and we're going to go ahead and skip over and start working on this shelf and organize it and all of that. So let me move my ladder around. I got to move my wheel out of the way. Okay, so something that this new camera I have has is like auto tracking. So if you see the camera moving around, it's because it's actually just following me, which I think is really neat. So hopefully it turns out well. Let me see if I can zoom in too. Okay, I still got to figure out how to zoom. But let's get started on this shelf up here. Okay, so there actually was a book that had to go on that shelf, so I ended up moving Hunterland over here. And now I've got this one all straightened out, and there is a big stack of books here that I can try to get through. So we have The House of Salt and Sorrows by Aaron A. Craig. The 13th Child by Aaron E. Craig. Wait, I think I read this recently. No, I have not. Playing for Keeps by Tristan Crone. Whatever Life Throws at You by Julie Cross. One by Sarah Crossan. Words in Deep Blue by Kath Crowley. I feel like I've read this. I'll have to look and see if I ever marked it on Goodreads, but I feel like this was one I read. Real by Carol Kujek. And Miss V's Hot Girl Summer by A.H. Cunningham. So I have lots here that I can try to read. So I'm going to see what I can find an audiobook of, and I'll also see about Words in Deep Blue. Okay, so that took a little while. Not a single one of those are available on Libby. I did, however, find a couple on Hoopla, though I don't have a lot of checkouts on that, and I've already used one, I think, for this month, and I think I only get 3. But the first one that I came across, there was, I think, 3 books that had audiobooks. But the biggest one and the first one that I found was Whatever Life Throws at You by Julie Cross. So this is the one that I'm going to use that for. This says, life loves a good curveball. 17-year-old Annie Lucas's life is completely upended the moment her dad returns to the major leagues as the new pitching coach for the Kansas City Royals. Now she's living in Missouri, too cold, attending an all-girls school, no boys, and navigating the strange world of professional sports. But Annie has dreams of her own, most of which involve placing first at every track meet, and one starring the Royals' super hot rookie pitcher. But 19-year-old Jason Brody is completely, utterly, and totally off limits. Besides, her dad would kill them both several times over. Not to mention, Brody has something of a past, and his fan club is filled with C-cupped models, not smart-mouthed high school brats, who can run the pants off of every player on the team. Annie has enough on her plate without taking their friendship to the next level. The last thing she should be doing is falling in love. But baseball isn't just a game, it's life, and sometimes it can break your heart. So, this is what I'm going to be reading next. Alright, let me get to it and get out of here soon. Okay, so it is 9:43 and I just finished Whatever Life Throws at You by Julie Cross. Considering this took me as long as it did, I kind of wish I went for one of the shorter ones, but that's okay because I got a bigger book knocked out. And let's see, this one follows Annie, who is 17 years old, and her father, he once upon a time was a Yankee Major League Baseball player, and he ended up with cancer, and like bone cancer, and lost his leg because of it. He's currently cleared of cancer, though he, has one bionic leg, and he's worked in just a lower class job for as long as Annie can remember, but he's given the opportunity to coach for the Kansas City Royals as a pitching coach. And Annie is all for doing this. She's in her junior year of high school. She's, all for track team, she's trying to get to state and things like that. However, there's this issue with her mother. Like, her mother comes in and out of their life, and every time she does, her dad is like a wreck for a long time afterwards. And she thinks this is a good way to get a fresh start and kind of not even let her know where they are. And they also have Annie's grandmother, which is like her mom's mom, living with them, and they care for her, and she has Alzheimer's. And Annie's dad is brought in to coach for this one particular pitcher. He's 19 years old, Jason Brody, and he's kind of got a little bit of a bad reputation, but really he hasn't had anybody there for him most of his life, leading him on the path that he needs to go. And he actually ended up in juvenile detention, where that's when he started playing baseball, and now he has a chance at Major League. And Annie and Brody, they have a little bit of a rocky start at first, but they very quickly become friends, and then more. But he has never graduated high school or anything like that, and they want him to get his GED. And Annie is to tutor him, and she learns that he is dyslexic, and that's kind of a big reason why he hasn't gone to take the test, because he doesn't think he can. And so she kind of helps him figure out ways to be able to study for it and to be able to take it and all that stuff. Of course, as their relationship develops into something more, which they kind of keep hidden from her dad, that eventually comes to surface and bad things happen. I enjoyed it. I'm giving it 3.5 stars. So the next thing I'm going to be reading is going to be a physical read. And it looks like probably one of the biggest books, because I'm just going to read them in order. And that is House of Salt and Sorrow. So let me go grab that. Okay, let's see what this says. Oh, this must have come... Oh, yeah, this is from an Owl Crate book or edition. Or it came in an Owl Crate box. This says, Annalie lives a sheltered life at Highmore, a manor by the sea, with her sisters and their father and stepmother. Once there were 12, but loneliness fills the grand halls now that the 4 girls' lives have been cut short. Each death was more tragic than the last: the plague, a plummeting fall, a drowning, a slippery plunge, and there were whispers throughout the surrounding villages that the family is cursed by the gods. Disturbed by a series of ghostly visions, Annalie becomes increasingly suspicious that her sister's deaths were no accidents. The girls have been sneaking out every night to attend glittering balls, dancing until dawn in silk gowns and shimmering slippers, and Annalie isn't sure whether to try and stop them or to join their forbidden trysts, because who or what are they really dancing with? When Annalie's involvement with a mysterious stranger who has secrets of his own intensifies, it's a race to unravel the darkness that has fallen over her family before it claims her next. House of Salt and Sorrows is a spellbinding novel filled with magic and the rustle of gossamer skirts down long, dark hallways. Get ready to be swept away. This is a retelling of like the 12 princesses, or the 12 dancing princesses. I think that's actually what it's called, 12 Dancing Princesses, which I believe is a Grimm fairy tale. So I'm looking forward to reading this. I love a good fairy tale retelling. Yep. Yeah, on the back, actually, it says, an eerie, lovely 12 Dancing Princesses retelling full of ghosts and gods and a fascinating waterfront world. And I'm reading it from behind my fingers. That was Melissa Albert. So yeah, that was exactly what I thought. All right, so this one seems pretty thick. It's around 400 pages. Exactly 400 pages. So I definitely won't be finishing this tonight, but maybe I can make a good chunk of the way through before I go to bed. So last night I got about 50 pages into this, and then I was tired and wanted to go to bed. So today I have been working on it since I've gotten up this morning. So the first, I'd say, 100 pages of this I enjoyed. I was very much getting into it. It started out with a funeral. The fourth out of the 12 daughters was being buried, and they've all died from one died from a plague, one died from falling off of a bookshelf ladder, one died in bathtub, and the last one that died was had fallen off a cliff. And they believed that this family is cursed, that these daughters are cursed. And Annalie, she believes that the other deaths could be kind of understandable, but the most recent one, and I don't know how to pronounce this, Yulee, something like that, the one that fell off the cliff, she doesn't believe that it was an accident. She thinks that she was murdered, and she's like trying to find clues to figure this out. And I was enjoying all of that. So that was like the first 100 pages. And then the next like 150 pages, I was bored. It was just like not really a whole lot going on. Yes, there was the whole going to these balls and stuff that goes along with the 12 Dancing Princesses, but it seemed like that and other stuff just kind of got drawn out. Now the last like 150 pages were like horror. And I really enjoyed that too. I can't go into too much about that, but I will say that I did enjoy this. I don't think I'll be reading the sequel though, because I feel like this kind of can stand on its own, and I don't have a desire to continue. I think I'm going to give this one a 3.5. And it is currently, I may have already said this, it's like 2:34 in the afternoon. So I don't, like the next book that I would have read, because I typically will read them in order. Let me grab the stack. Okay, so the next book I would have read is The 13th Child, which is another chunky book. Yeah, it's like 500 pages, 494. And though I'm definitely interested, I don't think I could finish that in this vlog. So I think I'm going to skip to the next one because I feel like this is one that I could actually get finished today, because I want to try to do what I can between yesterday and today, because that's all I have for this vlog. So I'm going to be reading Tristan Cole, Playing for Keeps. And this one seems like it should be a quick read. It's only 246 pages, so that's actually shorter than I thought. So yeah, let's see. This says, Farron puts on a good front, feigning confidence despite literally not fitting into society's narrow ideas of beauty and success. Inside, she's stuck, afraid to put herself and her ideas out there, especially the board game design she's kept a secret. She keeps things light and temporary, both at work and as a substitute teacher and in her relationships. Overworked, Sebastian abhors anything that gets in the way of his goals, including procuring the perfect pastry. The two meet when Sebastian accuses her of stealing his pastry in an amusing and awkward cafe incident. When Farron gets in the way of his coffee order, with her huge personality, she turns out to be even more than he bargained for. Instead of shrinking beneath his usually intimidating stare, Farron issues a challenge back. Take a second away from his phone calendar with its down-to-the-minute scheduling and play her for it. Live a little. If Sebastian wins the board game battle, he gets to keep his precious croissant. If she wins, he has to join their game night next week. Just who will be the victor in this game of love? Okay, I love, love, love board games, so I feel like this is going to be really cute. I'm going to enjoy this one a lot. Now, if I can get through this quickly enough, maybe I'll be able to squeeze in one more of the smaller books before the end of the day. We'll see.
One of those. I still just film on my phone.
Say hello.
Hello, everybody.
Okay, so last night I finished Playing for Keeps at like 12:30 at night, and I was too tired to come and talk about the book. I really enjoyed this. Our main character, Farron, she is a plus-sized substitute teacher who has a passion for board games and kind of wants to create her own board game. But, you know, she's got to pay the bills and stuff, so she does the substitute teaching in the meantime. And Sebastian, he is this uptight, stressed out workaholic man who's just trying to get to this next level, and he's working himself to the bone, and he's just having a really bad week, and he's exhausted, and he sees this ad on Facebook for this coffee shop that he's been in many times, and there's this dessert, this pastry, this croissant that he really wants, and he's like, this will make my week so much better. And he goes to this coffee shop, which is where Farron and her friends have game night each week. People like take up the main tables and they all play board games and stuff. And this particular day, she's in line in front of him, and they're making their way up, and they actually both go up to the register at the same time, and she places her order and gets this croissant, and he places his order, and they're like, I'm sorry, that was the last one. And he was just like at his end, you know. And he's like, you stole my pastry. And she took it in stride, and she offered to play him for it. And this begins a very cute, like grumpy sunshine type relationship. And they both have family issues. They both have felt neglected in one way or another by their family. They're both afraid of love, pretty much, and commitment due to different reasons. And they gotta like find their way through all that. I have to say, I'm not a big fan of the third act breakup. That, you know, this happens, of course, in this, and I kind of wish it hadn't, but I understand, you know, it's kind of the formula for these books. But I did very much enjoy this. I'm also a big board game fan, so this was a lot of fun. And there was like games throughout that made, like, I had to Google, and I was like, oh, they're real games because I want to play them. So I'm giving this one 4 stars. Also, I was reading this during sprints on Debbie from Book and Bujo's channel. I'll link her down below if you want to go and check her out. But I was having fun talking about the book and stuff throughout as well, which is probably why it took me so late to finish the book, because we would do a sprint, we would talk for a while, and we'd do a sprint, we'd talk for a while. So kind of drew out how long it took me to finish this book. But I'm happy I did. So with this TBR Topple, I managed to get 2 shelves organized, which I'm very, very happy about. I DNF'd 1 book, I completed 3, and I have 5 that need to topple over to the next shelf. So let me show you. So we got this shelf and this shelf all nice and neat. And these 5 are going to, I'm just going to stick them like that for right now, topple over to this shelf, which this is the next shelf I'll be tackling in the next TBR Topple. Alright, well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a big thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos like this, click that subscribe button down below. And until next time, always be completely you.